Chapter 53, Why We're Here. I suggest you all stand down, Dowell growled, pressing the barrel of his gun against Trevor's temple through the mask. Or I finish what my brother started, and the vagabond gets it for real. Jeff and Jack were by the door to the server room. They had their guns aimed at Dowell, but each had several others aimed at them. Ryan did a quick head count. 9 agents total, including Jason. The 2 nearest to him immediately turned their weapons on him. It was a classic showdown. Ryan didn't flinch, nor did Jeff or Jack. Ryan could just hear the lads move up inside the stairwell behind him, but no one in the room responded to it. The comms were still active. They must have heard the threat. Probably against all their natural instincts, they were holding back. Good. Dowell laughed, almost childishly, snapping Ryan's attention back to the room. Who would have thought the vagabond, of all people, would prove himself to be the weakest link in the fake AH crew? He adjusted the angle of the gun against Trevor's head, pressing it harder into the back of his skull, aiming it away from himself for a clean shot. Honestly, I feel like I'd be doing you a favor by killing him. Fucking get away from him, Jeff barked, raising his pistol again, taking a more definitive stance, preparing to shoot to kill should he have to. Jack mirrored his movements. Seriously? Get away from him. You lot are painfully cliché. We've been expecting you all day. The bomb was a bit of a surprise, though. You must have had some help to plant that, so I'm willing to give you that one. Got someone on the inside? Or maybe just friends in high places? I ain't telling you shit, Jeff spat. Stoic as ever, I see. I suppose he had to get it from somewhere. Jason pushed Trevor's head forward with the barrel of his gun and smiled. It was the same smile as his brother, and it made Ryan's skin crawl. He leaned in close to Trevor's face and hissed, "Oh, Ryan, I'll bet my brother had a grand time with you." Before the cameras started rolling, Predictably, Trevor said nothing. I'm guessing he doesn't talk much now. PTSD will do that to you. Frankly, I'm surprised he's still here at all. The way you tolerate a traitor in your ranks. Ryan's blood boiled, defiant, but he fixed his face to stony indifference, conscious not to let anything translate to outward expression. Jeff's eyes flicked to Ryan, and then back to Jason. You're a twisted motherfucker, Dowell. Let him go. He laughed again, still addressing Trevor. They've risked their lives to you before. Let's see if they'll do it again. That's enough. Ryan stepped forward. This time, the voice in his head wasn't Jeff, or Jack, or Jeremy. It was his own. Are you trying to get yourself killed? No. Not this time. Ryan growled, responding to Dowell and the voice in his head with complete conviction. His distinctive voice triggering recognition in the eyes of some of the agents in the room who briefly forgot their targets to look up at him. Everything happened very quickly, but it felt like slow motion. Ryan reached up with his free hand and pulled off his helmet, exposing his face, the perfectly executed face paint, his familiar dark blonde hair, and intense blue eyes. Dowell was confused for a moment, long enough to hesitate for just a second before turning his gun on Ryan. Ryan, no! Jeff lunged forward, whether instinctively or trying to cause a distraction, Ryan wasn't sure. But in the very same moment, a moment of panic, Dowell turned and fired a shot, just as Trevor threw a hard elbow into his chest. Jeff cried out and crumpled to the floor. The movement gave Ryan an opening. Trevor twisted away from Dowell, just slightly, enough to open up a narrow but risky shot. Ryan didn't think. His movements were almost mechanical, muscle memory merged with instinct. He was in the familiar territory of the vagabond now. Trust me. I do. He didn't hesitate. With practiced precision, Ryan fired a single round. It entered through Dowell's right eye socket and took the greater part of the occipital bone of his skull with it, in a spray of blood, bone, and brain matter. Jason Dowell was dead. Dowell's body sagged limply to the floor, and Trevor pulled himself free, diving behind a nearby table for cover. Jack threw himself to the ground, trying his best to cover Jeff. Jeff. Gunshots rang out all around him, but Ryan was on autopilot now. The lads had emerged from behind him and were laying the place to waste. It took a second to realize he'd crouched behind a desk for cover and was returning fire of his own. Ahead of him, Jeremy had found a better position, and Ryan moved up to join him, catching another bullet in the chest as he crossed the open space. Jeremy put a bullet between the eyes of the agent responsible. "Cover Jeff!" Jack called out. Ryan reloaded and peeked over the filing cabinet to see Jack dragging Jeff back to the server room, Trevor providing covering fire as they backed in, a handful of agents ducking behind various items of office furniture. "We gotta clear the room," Ryan instructed, glancing over the filing cabinet for the next clear shot. He was rewarded with a very near miss as he hit the floor again. Luckily, Jeremy was on it. He popped up and fired once, and Ryan heard the body hit the floor. "Nice bip, Lil J," Michael called out from the other side of the room, as Gavin sprung to his feet with suppressing fire to cover Jack, Jeff, and Trevor. With the agents down 3 men and on the defense, the odds were more in their favor. Jeremy, Michael, and Ryan jumped to more offensive positions and strategically swept the area. It was all a blur to Ryan. Gavin fired a couple of rounds and Michael yelled something over the din. A body fell to the ground, but the thing clearest to Ryan was the sound of Jeff groaning. Jeremy upturned a desk with blatant disregard for the equipment on it, sending an expensive-looking monitor flying, catching by its cord and smashing violently into the ground. He and Ryan took cover behind the desk to reload, the server room just ahead of them. Michael and Gavin were still unleashing hell on the room, not actually sure if they were hitting anyone, but at least were keeping the fire going one way. The agents were surely wearing body armor, and even with the building in the state it was in, reinforcements would no doubt be arriving soon. "Trevor, sit rep." "Bit busy, Ryan." "Is Jeff okay?" "He's been shot," Jack reported. "He's bleeding pretty badly, but he's alive. He needs medical attention now." "God damn it, Jeff." "Jeff, don't you die!" Michael emptied his clip and ducked for cover to reload. "I'm not dying, you assholes!" Jeff shot back over the comms, sounding clearly in pain. "That's the spirit, Jeff!" Gavin joined Michael behind cover to reload. Gavin and Michael were bickering, but Ryan focused on reloading. Suddenly, the space between his and Jeremy's head exploded into pulpy MDF splinters. Not ideal. "Oh, fuck you, dude!" Ryan blurted out in surprise, ducking lower behind the desk. Jeremy finished loading his pistol and cocked it, speaking deliberately loud. "This is going right through your temple. I want you to know that." In one fluid movement, he stood and spun around, scanning the room and tracing the path of the bullet to where the agent who fired was just peeking out from cover. He was true to his word. "Nice, Jeremy." Moving up, Michael reported, Gavin hot on his heels. "Stack up, lads," Ryan instructed. Michael filed to the front. "I'll take point." "I got your rear, boy." "Phrasing," Ryan muttered under his breath. Gavin giggled. "All right, sweep it. Get to the server room." With ruthless efficiency, they moved up as a unit, cleaning up as they went until there was no one left to shoot at them. Gavin caught a round to the chest that nearly knocked him off his feet and sent his arms pinwheeling to maintain his balance. Jeremy sought swift retribution. Within no time, they joined the others in the server room. Trevor was hunched over a terminal, fingers flying over the keys. He'd taken Ryan's mask off and left it on the floor while Jack tended Jeff nearby. They immediately rushed over to Jeff. Jack maintained pressure on the wound. He'd tied a tourniquet, but it looked serious. "Jeff!" Gavin was the first by his side. "Are you okay?" "God damn it!" Jeff hissed through his teeth. "He shot me in the fucking leg! Again! Motherfucker!" Ryan wasn't so amused. It was the same pulsing flow of thick, dark blood that he'd seen in his own leg back in the warehouse. Nowhere near as rapid, but it was definitely going to be life-threatening if they didn't do something soon. The comms crackled in Ryan's ear. "Hey, guys?" Matt's voice came over the radio with sirens and commotion in the background. "Talk to me, Matt," Trevor said, not looking up from the terminal. You coming down anytime soon? Because I think they might be onto us. I have a feeling I should leave." "There goes another plan." "Also," Matt continued, "the FIB and LSPD really don't like it when you spray them with water. They're sort of mad." Michael, Gavin, and Jeremy stifled giggles. Trevor couldn't hold back the grin that had been growing on his face. "What are you doing watering the law enforcement, Matt?" "I figured they needed a drink." "Well, looks like our cover's blown," Trevor said nonchalantly. "Guess we won't be needing these anymore." Jeremy shrugged and started stripping out of his overclothes, revealing his proud Remy Tim colors beneath. He seemed rather happy with that arrangement. Ryan followed suit, as did Michael and Gavin. "And there goes our exit strategy," Michael remarked as he stepped out of the yellow over trousers. "Yep." Trevor paused, just momentarily, to think it through. "Matt, get out of there. Radio through to Andy. Get him to give you an evac. You know the best locations to lose them." "That I do," Matt confirmed. "But what about you guys?" Trevor hesitated. "You said there was a chopper on the roof, right?" "Can we use it?" Ryan asked. Jack shook his head. "It's a two-seater. Couldn't fit us all if we tried." "Can you fly it, though?" "Yeah, I can," Jack assured him. Ryan nodded thoughtfully. 6 of them and Jeff. Jeff wasn't walking out of the building. With their cover blown, they weren't walking out of the building. Plan B. They'd have to jump. The only solace in Plan B was that there were enough of them that maybe they wouldn't all get killed. Statistically speaking. "Jack, take the chopper, get Jeff out of here. The rest of us, Plan B." "Plan B?" Jeremy almost whimpered. "No!" Jeff protested. "You guys need to stick together. More are gonna come, and you're gonna need all the help you can get. Just leave me here. I'll be fine." Ryan drew a long breath and threw a look to Trevor, who looked unconvinced. "Then we'll take you with us, but I swear to God, Jeff, if you slow us down—" "No!" It sounded like Jeff was putting his foot down. "Look, I can get to the chopper by myself. I'll get out and find my way to a treatment center. They'll be swamped because of the riots. There won't be anything they can do but treat me. And if I get arrested, then I'll make sure I'm fucking compliant as dicks, and we'll deal with that later. We've pulled off prison breaks before." That was true. The crew looked around at each other, a similar pain but resigned expression on all their faces. Jeff needed treatment or he'd surely die. This was the fastest way he could get it. "I'll go with you, Jeff. I'll fly," Jack insisted. "No. You stick to the plan. We don't need 2 of us out of action." Ryan looked to Trevor again, and Trevor looked to Jeff. He gave a resigned sigh. "Okay, but we'll get you up to the chopper. Jack, Ryan, make sure he gets there. I'm almost done here. Michael, start setting it up." They all nodded. "Are you sure, Jeff?" Jack asked, helping him to his feet as Ryan propped him up under his shoulder, taking most of his weight on the right side so he didn't exacerbate his leg. Jeff sighed. "Yes, I'm sure." "Be careful, Jeff," Gavin pleaded. "Good luck." "See you on the other side," Michael added with a nod, already starting to rig up the explosives to blow the server room. "Gavin, Jeremy, keep an eye on the stairwell. Get the feeling like we're going to have company real soon," Trevor instructed as Ryan and Jack took Jeff away. They started toward the emergency exit of the roof and started helping Jeff limp up the stairs. "Ryan?" "What, Jeff?" "This sucks." Jeff snorted a laugh. "No shit," Ryan grinned back. "Are you sure you're going to be right to fly? I mean, they can scramble jets from the airport in no time. You might have some heat on you." "Are you suggesting I can't handle a little heat?" "Sorta, yeah." "You asshole." Jeff laughed through a wince as he put pressure on his leg as they reached the top of the stairs. Ryan's tone turned serious again. "We can stay up here and give you some cover." "No. You guys stay together, no matter what happens. Watch each other's backs. You've got this." Something about his tone made Ryan uneasy. "I'm going to keep an ear at the door. Jack, you right to get him to the chopper?" Jack nodded. "We're good." Ryan pushed open the door to the roof and let Jack take Jeff's weight. The sky was dark and the air was cool, and considering hell was breaking loose on the streets below them, it was remarkably peaceful up here. "Hey, Jack." Jeff grimaced through the pain, clearly trying to keep his mind off it. "Do you ever wonder why we're here?" "You're not getting all spiritual on us now, are you, Jeff?" Ryan asked with a smirk and a raised eyebrow as Jack and Jeff continued to the chopper. "No, just genuinely curious. Do you?" Ryan turned his attention to listening down the stairs for any signs of trouble, but he could still hear Jeff and Jack clearly across the roof. Jack thought for a moment. "Nope." "Why not?" "The way I figure, the reason doesn't matter. What matters is that we're here." Jack, the most optimistic realist. "Huh. Never thought about it like that before." Jeff smiled through a wince. "Jack, I'm glad you're here. I couldn't think of a better man to have by my side." Jack smiled back. Me neither. Ryan probably shouldn't have been able to hear that, so he pretended not to. Jack helped Jeff into the chopper and stepped back. Be careful, okay, Jeff? No heroics. Just get out of here and get to help. Michael's voice came over the comms. We're set to go. If Jeff takes off just before we blow it, it might give him more cover to get away, and we can jump once everyone's cleared the area below. Good thinking, Trevor agreed. With a bit of luck, they'll be too distracted to deal with us, and definitely not all of us. Copy that. I'll wait for the signal. Just let me know. Jeff radioed back. There were a handful of mixed good lucks over the comms as Jack and Ryan gave a final nod to Jeff and headed back down the stairs. So, plan B, Gavin mused as Jack and Ryan made their way back to the others. How are we meant to get out of the building? Jack's head snapped up. The 49th floor. The first explosion blew the windows out. They would have cleared the whole side of the building. Ryan and Jack pushed through the doors back to the main room where the others were waiting outside the door to the server room. Remember when I said we'd have to be at least level 50 to pull off that jump? Trevor asked. Well, you're really pushing it, but hey, worth a shot. We want to be right the fuck away from here when we detonate that, Michael said, turning the detonator over in his hands anxiously and gesturing back to the server room. Jeremy laughed, but Michael didn't bat an eyelid. I'm fucking serious. That shit's gonna blow. Jeff, did you hear that? Got it. Just let me know before you plan to blow me up. Gavin and Jeremy both laughed at that. Sure thing, Jeff. Jeremy and Gavin's laughter stopped abruptly, and Ryan glanced nervously towards the stairwell. Gavin carefully and quietly opened the door and made his way back to the rest of the group. Jeremy backed through the door a little way behind him. Guys, Jeremy yelled back into the main room. We need to go. Ryan quickly joined him as he held the door open. Glancing down the stairwell, sure enough, the voices echoing off the walls told them there were agents coming for them. A fair few floors down, maybe not quite at 49 yet, if they were lucky. Jeremy and Ryan exchanged an anxious look. They both backed out, closing the door quietly behind them. We can beat them, but we've got to go right now, Ryan said. Go, Jeff instructed, while you can. Trevor nodded and motioned toward the stairs. Ryan led the way, switching to his bullpup rifle, Michael following suit, pushing his detonator into his back pocket. Jeff, you've got about 2 minutes to get airborne, Michael radioed up. All the time in the world, Jeff replied coolly. Not when you're bleeding to death, Michael muttered under his breath. They burst through the door to the stairs and began descending in leaps at a time, racing the agents coming up to get to level 49. They had 4 floors to make it down, 8 flights of stairs. The agents probably only had 6, but they were climbing and probably tiring. As soon as they heard the crew's footsteps, the agents attempted to fire up through the narrow gaps left in the layout of the overlapping flights of stairs. It was virtually impossible to get a shot, not that it stopped them from trying. Ricochets pinged off the banister and threatened to lodge in places no one wanted them. As they closed the gap between the groups, the gunshots got louder and more frequent until they finally reached the 49th floor, where a handful of agents caught up with them and came face to face with a wall of gunfire as Ryan and Jeremy unleashed on them. Do it, boy! Michael yelled from somewhere behind Ryan. Gavin was holding a small bottle with a rag sticking out the top. In the other hand was a lighter. Where he'd been hiding it was anyone's guess. The grin on his face was wicked. Gavin hurled the Molotov right into the line of agents waiting on the landing. Ryan and Jeremy kept them back with honestly superfluous suppressing fire, while the others dashed for the door, which, despite being off its hinges and not closing properly, was remarkably still intact. Ryan and Jeremy backed in after them once they were sure they weren't going to be immediately followed. Level 49 was a mess. Thick smoke billowed and hung heavy in the air. Smoldering furniture and drywall still glowed eerie orange. The acrid, chemical-filled air stung their throats and noses. Where's the hole? Michael wondered aloud. Gavin scoffed. You can't find the hole? Phrasing, Ryan muttered under his breath. Jeremy caught it and grinned. Where's a good hole when you need one? The bomb blew out the northwest corner of the building, Jack recalled, pointing down the hall in roughly the direction the smoke was coming from. Follow the carnage, Trevor said with a shrug. Makes sense. They started making their way towards the direction Jack had indicated, Michael and Gavin on point, and Jeremy and Ryan pulling up the rear, sweeping behind them to make sure they weren't followed or flanked. I can't believe we're about to do this, Jeremy mumbled to no one in particular, but Ryan heard him loud and clear. Don't worry, Jeremy, we got this. Battle buddies, remember? Jeremy gave him a nervous half smile and scoffed a laugh. Battle buddies. Their moment was interrupted by Jeff's voice over the comms. Michael? Jeff, what's up? We're about to have some company. A distraction might be real good about now. What kind of company? Trevor asked, eyes narrowing. The bad kind. They have a Valkyrie of their own kind. Shit. Michael fumbled for his detonator and paused. So, blow it! Michael depressed the button without a second's more hesitation. The explosion shook the building, far more than it should have. Jesus! Jeff gave a startled cry over the comms. I don't think the building is as structurally sound as we thought it'd be, Trevor said as the entire building felt like it swayed beneath their feet. A wall crumbled just ahead of them, and part of some ventilation ducting fell from a panel in the roof. There was the ominous creak of stressed metal reverberating throughout the structure of the building. We should hurry, Jeremy urged. No one argued. They picked up the pace and moved carefully through the blackened hallways, heading towards a stream of fresh, cool air they could only just sense from the pull of the smoke around them. Oh no! Jeff's voice came over the comms. Jeff? Jack was the first to respond. Jeff, what's going on? Talk to us. There was only static in response. Shit, Jeff? Trevor looked around to the crew. Does anyone else have comms? They started radioing to check, but Jeff's voice interrupted them, and his tone made everyone fall silent. Hey guys, I can take out their Valkyrie. I don't know if you can still hear me, but if you can, I just wanted to say, and this is gonna be sappy, but I'm so proud of you. I couldn't have asked for a better crew. Ryan could hear the look on Jeff's face, the cheeky, quietly proud half-grin, his eyes bright and calm despite the chaos and impending disaster surrounding him, warning alarms wailing in the background. He sounded happy. So this is for you. A lump lodged in Ryan's throat as the next sound they heard was the stomach-turning creak of metal twisting against metal and static, followed by silence on the comms. A second later there was an explosion outside and the sound of heavy metal hitting concrete. The building shook again. Jeff! Michael screamed, despite knowing he couldn't hear him. Gavin let out an animalistic howl as he collapsed to the ground in tears, clutching his head, while the others took a moment longer to process what had just happened. We gotta keep moving. Ryan grabbed Gavin's arm and pulled him to his feet, half dragging him behind him. The building's coming down. We gotta move, Trevor agreed. Jeremy's eyes were watery. He sniffed and swallowed. He's right. We gotta get out of here. We gotta go. Come on. Michael came to his senses and helped Gavin. Jack just looked like he was in shock, unsure of what to do, but followed their directions mechanically. Not far ahead of them, a chunk of floor was missing, collapsed into a pile of rubble they could see descended to a clear shot out. The windows had been blown out on that side of the building. It was the best place to jump from, but it was still going to be dangerous. We climb down and we jump from there, Trevor instructed, pointing down. Gavin was still racked with sobs, but he was regaining control. Jack looked like he might break down any second, but he was holding it together for the others. At this stage, they all were. Ryan's insides were stone. Take care of the lads. I will. They picked their way down the rubble and found themselves at a gaping hole where the windows would have been, hundreds of feet above the city streets. Trevor leaned out to look down, letting out a long whistle. I think we've got a good chance. Well, as good as it's going to get anyway. Michael shook his head. Trevor, you really need to learn when to stop talking. That's a fair call, Trevor admitted. Jeremy checked his chute, visibly shaking. Everyone else gave themselves a cursory once-over and steeled themselves. Ryan looked around at the crew. His crew. Pair up for the jump. We go together. No matter what, we stay together. They nodded, the fire reigniting in their eyes. Gavin clung to Michael, who held him back. Trevor looked at Jack and linked arms. Jeremy's hand found Ryan's and squeezed. He squeezed back reassuringly. On 3, we jump. 1, 2,